1 year ago today, gunshots rang out near the East State Bar and Grill. Codi McCann lost his life. Tonight, his family and friends are gathered at that same corner for a balloon launch to remember him. 15 finds out investigator Alyssa Ivinson sat down with Codi's mom, who is frustrated her son's killer is not behind bars. She's live along East State Boulevard, where the memorial just started. Alyssa?
Around 50 people have gathered here in the parking lot right next to where 1 year ago today, Codi McCann lost his life. They have balloons and they're about to release them into the air, all with signatures on them, saying that they have not forgotten him and that they still hope. And they still hope that the person who killed him will be prosecuted. In Stacey Davis's living room,
brothers and best friends are over on kind of on this side.
Is Codi's corner.
Love you, miss you.
A board full of pictures and messages.
He was loved by a lot of people.
Codi McCann was 22.
He was 6'5" and he could just envelop me with his arms. He was amazing.
He just started a new job at UPS.
He made friends easily and would give the shirt off of his back to anyone who needed it.
And he loved his rescue dog, Rocco.
Had so many amazing things in store for his future, but that was taken away with one senseless act of violence.
December 6, 2016, Codi became Allen County's 47th homicide victim of the year.
I still have nightmares about that to this day.
Codi was in a parking lot behind East State Bar and Grill.
It was an attempted armed robbery. Codi was in a car, the car window was shot out.
Codi died at the scene. Now a year later, no one's been arrested, but police aren't giving up.
The detectives in this case continue to work on this case, doing everything possible to bring this case to conclusion. But it is tough. You see that when, especially around the anniversary times, it is extremely hard on the family. And I can tell you it weighs on the detectives as well.
The perpetrator knows who he is, and he's out there. You know what you did, you know who you are, and we know who you are.
How frustrating is that to know who did it, and he is still walking on the streets of Fort Wayne?
Very frustrating. Very. It tells me that we're not safe. I mean, there are numerous murders that are unsolved, and these murderers are walking the streets.
Homicide stats from the Fort Wayne Police Department for the last 3 years show solve rates below half every year. 36% in 2015, 44% in 2016, and 21% so far this year. To somebody who looks at the solve rates and says, that's a failing grade if that's in school. If that's a test in school, you failed the test. What's your answer to that?
My answer is that we solve the cases with the evidence that we have, and when people come forward again to help us solve these cases, that's when we can clear them. So until we get even more cooperation, I don't see our clearance rates getting much higher. In most of our cases, we have a suspect or a person of interest. We just do not have the evidence to proceed with the case. Again, a lot of that involves people coming forward.
Chief Reed says in a few homicide cases, the victim's parents wouldn't even give information to help find who killed their child. But he says the Thanksgiving Day robbery homicide case shows what can happen when the community comes forward.
The level of cooperation, the level of tips that poured in allowed us to make an apprehension in less than 24 hours.
But that's not every homicide case.
I have seen over the past year the wheels of justice turn so slowly. And quite frankly, justice that's not swift is no deterrent.
Shortly after Codi died, Davis finished a master's degree in public affairs. Through her grief, she says now she sees ways police and prosecutors could close more cases.
But the lack of process is due to a lack of manpower, and it appears that the lack of manpower is because budgetary constraints have the police department handcuffed.
Do you have a good budget? Do you need more money?
We have a good budget. And like I said, the mayor and the council have been great about keeping us up to full staffing. If you asked any chief across the country, they're going to tell you they'd love to have more people. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't. But right now, we want to get to and maintain full staffing and see what we can do from that point on.
So you don't feel like you are handcuffed because of manpower and budgetary constraints?
No, ma'am.
Davis says she was told the department didn't have the budget to do surveillance to serve an outstanding warrant on the man she thinks killed Codi, and argues more people might come forward with information in other cases if they were offered protection.
There's no money in the budget to compel the witnesses to risk their potential safety to provide the police with these details. If they had the opportunity or the budget to protect some of these witnesses, I think that they would find that many more people would come forward.
We can put measures in place to ensure that someone's safe if that scenario arises.
Chief Steve Reed disputes both those points.
So you disagree with the premise that you can't and don't do surveillance?
We do have surveillance capabilities that can be used and have been used. I don't believe the process is broken in our community overall as a safe community.
I've given up hope and then gotten new hope and given up hope and gotten new hope over the whole course of this whole year. I expect to go through that process several more times before we get to the end of this.
Until that day, Davis will send messages to her son.
I love you and I miss you.
And try to keep holding onto hope.
But we're not giving up. We will get justice for Codi.
This cross here at the scene where Codi McCann died just put up today, and his mom is not alone in her frustrations with unsolved homicide cases. The grandfather of a man killed in the East Central Tower apartments in September says he plans to be outside the courthouse tomorrow with a sign with pictures of other homicide victims, their cases also unsolved. He hopes that will grab the attention of police and the mayor. In Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivinson, News Channel 15.